Our essential question is how and why has work ethic among students changed over the years? What factors contributed to this drastic change?
I read an autobiography by Jackie Robinson. In this book, he goes through the major points of his life that shaped him into the man that he became. These major points all include being discriminated in some sort of way. Whether he was young, in the military, or on the baseball field, racism directed towards him. Throughout the book, he repeatedly says, "I never had it made." This means that he had to work harder than anyone else to achieve his goal. Nothing was ever handed to him. This topic led me to connections today, especially through the Olentangy School District. Now, almost every kid here has it made, and they use that to their advantage to get what they want.
I read the book It's Not About the Bike by Lance Armstrong. The book explains his fight through testicular cancer plus all his success on the international biking tour. For example, in the book, he explains in depth all the struggle he went through to win the Tour de France after fighting a tough battle against cancer. Ironically, 11 years after the publishing of the book, he admitted to doping, making his whole career an ongoing scandal that basically ruined his life. This controversial book would help us begin to piece our essential question together. From this idea of cheating, we expanded our topic to the mostly poor work ethic of students in high school. We decided to do this because we are all students that are aware of all the cheating surrounding us in our everyday life here at Orange High School. We wanted to explore the factors that directly led to this change.
To confirm that our essential question was a valid idea to research, we handed out a quick survey to a variety of students, freshman to senior. We asked the question, have you cheated on a test in high school so far?
Since 67 out of 92 or 72% of the students said they've cheated before, we felt that we could really go somewhere with our essential question.
To get an insight on cheating in schools in the past, we conducted an interview with Larry English, the president of Centric Consulting.
Although Larry slightly disagrees with our essential question, he gives us a different opinion and a good look at the harsh consequences of the past, therefore preventing some students from cheating. He also elaborates on cheating in the business field and how poor work ethic in high school laid the foundation for this.
I'm here doing an interview with Larry English about his experience with cheating in the past. What is your opinion on the work ethic of students when you were in high school?
When I was in high school as compared to today? So I think it's about the same. In the United States, I think kids today are just as diligent and work as hard as they did when I was going to school. But what I would say is if you compare the United States to other countries, so like China or India, where they're much more hungry, they work way harder. Their kids in school work way harder than we do.
What were some of the consequences of troublemaking or cheating in your experience?
So in school, you guys have it a lot easier today. When I was growing up, you got paddled. To give you one example, there was a teacher, and I think he was slightly insane, and he had a fiberglass paddle with holes in it so that he could hit the kid's butt a lot faster. So you don't have to do that today. But what I would say is when you get out of school in the business world, when you cheat, people know, people figure it out. And so we have all the examples in the news. I don't know if you saw Volkswagen just recently got busted by the United States government because they were cheating on their emissions test, and it cost them billions of dollars. All the executives got fired. So the stakes are higher when you get in the business world, and people have to learn that the consequences of cheating are actually really high, and most of the times you get found out.
Yeah, it comes from your experience in high school and that mindset of cheating, correct?
I think if you do it a little bit and you think it's okay, and then you just keep thinking it's okay.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
So do you think the consequences back when you were in high school, for example, the fiberglass paddle, caused less people to cheat compared to the lesser punishments today?
Probably. I think the more severe you make the punishment, it'll definitely decrease it. So the example I would give is maybe in college, if you plagiarize, you can get kicked out of college for doing that. And so I think that causes a lot of people to be really careful about it. People still do it. So there's the punishment approach, and then there's also the reward approach. And so what I would say is in life, when people figure out that they're going to probably do better and be rewarded by having integrity and not cheating, that's where we need people to get to, because you could keep ratcheting up the punishment and it may not ever make sense. I prefer to try and get people to understand the reward of not cheating as opposed to the punishment.
To conclude the interview, what is the most prevalent factor that motivates students to cheat? Is it to be able to attend their favorite college, or simply because they didn't study?
Probably statistically, I don't know the answer without interviewing a lot of people. I think it can be for a lot of reasons, but you don't want to do bad. And you don't want to do bad for, it could be on the individual, a lot of different reasons, like you don't want your dad to paddle you with the fiberglass paddle. You want to get into your favorite college, whatever. Yeah. There's probably a lot of motivations. But what I can say in the business world, when I see people cheat, almost universally it's out of greed. And I also would say that the majority of the time people get found out and there's bad consequences. So I would say learn now, learn today not to cheat.
Okay. Thank you.
After getting the perspective of a past student/businessman, we decided to interview a teacher, specifically Mr. Harnstein. We thought it was crucial to our essential question to see what a teacher's opinion was about cheating in high school in recent years.
How often do you catch people cheating?
I wouldn't say I catch people all that often, just because I think the nature of my class allows so much time in class to work on stuff, and I don't mind the collaborative go at of things. So I don't catch them all that often in terms of regular assignments. And then with regards to class tests and things like that, not very often either, because desks are so spaced out in here. I don't have that problem. Classroom management helps me out as well, and then the other thing too is I generally collect phones and whatnot as well, so it kind of diminishes a lot of that. So I don't think I catch people often. That's not to say that it probably doesn't go on. I just don't catch it.
If you catch someone looking around at other people's papers, what is usually the punishment?
So that is kind of a process for me. Like I'll, the first time I'll catch it, I'll make sure that, I thought I saw what I saw, so I'll keep an eye on them. The second thing that I'll probably do is, after I catch it a second time, I'll take the test, completely take the test, and usually they have their choice of either a failing grade or a submitted to discipline to the office. So it's usually a Saturday school or Wednesday school or something like that. So I'll do double jeopardy on that, but generally speaking, it's a failing grade for the assignment, and we'll just move on from there.
Do you think work ethic among the younger generation has decreased over the years?
I wouldn't say that it has decreased as much as I would say it's different. I think technology has allowed you guys and humanity in general to just be more efficient at what you do. So, for example, I give vocabulary assignments, whereas it would probably have taken 5 years ago students, 25 to 30 minutes to complete a vocab assignment. You can look up those terms on your phone, do just as efficient job of it, get a little bit more background, maybe even click on another link, and all of a sudden you take a process that was once 25 minutes to 10 to 15. So I think it's just made you more efficient than anything else. And I think you've worked smarter, not harder. But at the same time, I do think there are more distractions available as well. So with that, I think that when you sit down and do something, sometimes it does take you a little bit longer because social media will become a distraction and things like that. So I wouldn't say that your work ethic has decreased so much as it's just changed and is much more inclined to be distracted, which then could potentially affect your retention of material.
With all the cheating surrounding high school, us students would say that cheating has become more popular because of the high stakes for college requirements. What is your opinion on that?
Definitely, this society has placed a lot of stress on students and people in general to pass certain standardized evaluations or tests, whatever it might be. So there's definitely a desire to shortcut stuff, and humanity's done that since the start of time. Like agriculture has been brutally labor intensive since its existence, and thanks to advents in technology and things like that, we just become more efficient to make it easier. Now, cheating in a way has basically done that for education. So I think a lot of that is placed simply upon the testing entities. And obviously, we also start to see colleges become increasingly more selective in their approaches and in their acceptance rates. So that definitely could put some pressure on it too. As a major source, I don't think it's the major source of the reason why individuals cheat. I'd probably say lack of work ethic and just sheer efficiency and wanting to move on to something else. probably increases our likelihood to cheat, or the temptation to cheat, more so than just trying to get the grade, although that definitely plays a factor in it.
Do you think it is easier to cheat now than in previous years?
Oh, absolutely. Technology has completely revolutionized that. So, like when I was in college, when I was in high school, we had just started to get the advent of cell phones, and text messaging wasn't big yet either. So there was no pictures on picture phones or anything like that. And with the way you guys are able to know the nooks and crannies around technology, I mean, the people in my generation are kind of technology immigrants, where you guys were born in the technology era. So you kind of got the one up on us. Not only that, are we talking about pictures and stuff like that, I think sharing over social media and even like through Google makes cheating a lot more easier as well. So for example, if you want to type a paper and you were in a group or whatever it might be, it increases collaboration for everybody to access the same file. At the same time, I've had students that'll split it up on a Google Drive to answer, okay, I'm taking these 2 questions, you taking these 2, so on and so forth, and before you know it, the entire class has basically divvied up the entire night's worth of homework, and while they may be competent in 2 questions, the other 20 that may be from that assignment, they don't really know because they just copied it down. So I think it has definitely become more easier simply because of technology and the advancements we continue to make there.
After this pivotal interview with Mr. Harnstein about his opinion on the role of technology and the cheating process, we decided to distribute another survey asking, has technology changed the way students cheat? The results showed that 76% of students said that yes, technology has had an effect on the use of cheating.
Finally, the last piece to our interview research happens to be an interview with a student here at Orange High School. He explains his experience with cheating, and he gives us his input on how the poor work ethic / cheating of students has changed in recent years. For privacy purposes, we don't show his face, and his voice is modified. And although his interview is not as in-depth as our interviews with the adults, he still gives us our most important perspective of cheating recently. To start off the interview, what is your experience with cheating so far in high school?
Well, I've used cheating to rely a lot on different tests throughout the year.
Next question. Over the course of high school, has your work ethic gotten so bad to the point where you rely on cheating?
I'd say that yes, sometimes I do, but only because I'm not studying and I want to get a good grade.
Okay. So have you ever been caught cheating before?
Yes, actually in 7th grade, my teacher, Ms. Califf, caught me cheating, and we actually got a 0% on the test, and my overall grade went to a D. And it was not worth it at all.
In a recent interview, we found out that one of the consequences back in the day for cheating was being paddled. Based off that, would you prefer getting a 0 on an assignment or being paddled by a principal more?
For me personally, I'd probably go with 0, just because I don't think I could stand like all the embarrassment about all my classmates and all my different teachers. And yeah, I just couldn't take it.
With that being said, would you say cheating has become more popular among students because of the lesser punishments?
Yeah, because it used to be that you get a 0 and they get power, now it's just a 0. So it's not as bad, like the embarrassment in front of all my colleagues, it's not as bad.
Lastly, what has been the biggest factor prompting you to cheat? Is it to get a good grade without studying, or is it to satisfy the requirements of college or your parents?
Personally, I'd probably go with the studying one because I just don't feel like working that hard on school when I have a lot of other priorities on my mind. And secondly, I want to satisfy my parents so they know I'm a good kid and that I can actually do good work.
To conclude the video, the research that we collected, whether it was from an interview, an article, or a survey, all led to a varied answer. This was that yes, the work ethic of students has indeed changed depending on what individual you ask. For the past student, or Larry English, he said that the work ethic was about the same. However, he has not been in the environment that we learn in today. As for Mr. Harnstein and the students, they believe that technology has had the biggest impact on cheating in schools recently. On the other hand, Larry English believes that the lesser punishments today is what has allowed students to cheat because the embarrassment of old school punishments is no longer around.